Before we begin, consider something for a moment. Throughout history, countless people have searched for the greatest secrets of life. They traveled across lands, studied ancient books, and followed great teachers, hoping to discover a hidden truth that could transform their understanding of existence. Yet the great mystic Ibn Arabi taught something astonishing. He said the greatest secret is not hidden in distant places, ancient temples, or forgotten knowledge. It is hidden much closer. So close, in fact, that most people spend their entire lives overlooking it, because the truth they are searching for has been quietly waiting inside them all along. To understand this secret, we must first understand something about the human heart. 1. The secret is hidden within the human heart. The great Sufi master Ibn Arabi taught that the human being is far more than a physical body that eats, sleeps, works, and eventually returns to dust. According to his understanding, every person carries within them a profound spiritual reality, something far deeper than the surface identity we usually recognize as ourselves. Most people spend their lives believing that knowledge and understanding come only from the outside world. They read books, chase new experiences, collect information, and try to build intelligence through study and observation. While these things can certainly be valuable, Ibn Arabi believed that the deepest knowledge a person can ever discover does not come from the outside at all. It comes from within. At the center of this inner world is what the spiritual tradition calls the heart. When Ibn Arabi spoke about the heart, he was not referring to the physical organ that pumps blood through the body. In the language of spirituality, the heart represents a deeper center of awareness, a place where perception and understanding take on a different quality. It is through this inner heart that a person begins to sense meanings and truths that cannot be reached through logic alone. The mind analyzes and compares, but the heart recognizes. It perceives subtle realities that the intellect often overlooks. According to Ibn Arabi, the human heart has the potential to become a mirror that reflects higher truth. When this mirror is clean and clear, it begins to reveal insights about life, existence, and the deeper purpose of the human journey. A clear heart allows a person to perceive wisdom hidden beneath ordinary events. It allows them to recognize meaning in experiences that might otherwise appear random or confusing. In this state, a person begins to feel a deeper connection with the world around them and a greater awareness of the spiritual dimension of life. However, Ibn Arabi also explained that most people never reach this level of perception because the heart rarely remains clear. Over time, it becomes covered by layers of distraction, pride, fear, anger, and endless desires. These layers act like dust on a mirror. The mirror itself still exists, but its ability to reflect truth becomes weaker. When the heart is clouded in this way, a person becomes trapped in surface-level thinking. They begin to see only appearances and lose the ability to perceive deeper meaning. For this reason, Ibn Arabi believed that the true spiritual journey is not about gaining something new from the outside world. Instead, it is about removing the layers that hide what is already present within us. As the heart becomes clearer, perception changes. Things that once seemed ordinary begin to reveal deeper significance. Moments of silence begin to carry wisdom. Even small experiences can suddenly feel meaningful. The secret, according to Ibn Arabi, has always been there, quietly waiting inside the human heart. But until the distractions and veils are lifted, most people pass through life without ever realizing that the very truth they seek has been within them all along. 2. The ego is the greatest veil. One of the most important teachings of the great Sufi master Ibn Arabi is that the greatest barrier between human beings and truth is not the world around them, but the ego within them. Many people believe that the obstacles in their lives come from external circumstances, difficult situations, other people, or the limitations of the world itself. Yet Ibn Arabi taught that the deepest veil hiding reality is something far closer and far more subtle. It is the ego, the inner voice that constantly reinforces the illusion of separation and control. The ego, in spiritual understanding, is the part of the human self that is always trying to protect its identity. It wants recognition, approval, power, and superiority. It constantly compares, judges, and competes. It whispers ideas that seem convincing, that success proves our value, that status defines our worth, and that we must always defend our image before others. Over time, these thoughts become so familiar that people begin to believe they are the true center of their existence. The ego creates the illusion that the self is independent, separate from everything else, and completely in control of its own destiny. But according to Ibn Arabi, this sense of control is one of the greatest illusions a person can experience. The ego narrows our perception of reality. It convinces us to see life only through the lens of personal gain or loss. When something benefits us, the ego celebrates. When something challenges us, the ego resists. In this way, the ego traps the mind inside a constant cycle of reaction, pride, fear, and frustration. This constant activity creates a veil over the heart. As the ego grows stronger, the heart becomes quieter and less aware. The deeper perception that comes from the heart is gradually drowned out by the noise of personal desires and anxieties. Instead of seeing life clearly, people begin to see only what supports their own image of themselves. Truth becomes difficult to recognize because the ego constantly reshapes reality to protect its sense of importance. Ibn Arabi believed that the spiritual path is not about strengthening the ego or making the self more powerful. Instead, it is about gradually dissolving the illusions that the ego creates. When a person begins to observe their own thoughts, reactions, and attachments, they start to notice how often the ego is guiding their behavior. They see how pride can close the heart, how jealousy can distort perception, and how fear can prevent genuine understanding. As awareness of the ego increases, something remarkable begins to happen. The grip of the ego slowly loosens. The heart, once hidden behind layers of pride and attachment, begins to open again. A person becomes less concerned with proving themselves and more interested in understanding life as it truly is. They begin to feel a deeper sense of humility and curiosity toward the world. In this state, perception becomes clearer. The heart begins to sense truths that the ego once obscured. According to Ibn Arabi, this transformation is essential for discovering the deeper secret of existence. As long as the ego dominates the inner world, the truth remains hidden behind its veil. But when the ego weakens and the heart becomes clear, reality reveals itself in a completely new light. In this way, Ibn Arabi taught that the greatest struggle in life is not against external enemies or obstacles. The real struggle is the quiet and patient work of seeing through the illusions created by the ego. Once this veil begins to lift, the human being can finally begin to perceive the deeper reality that has always been present but rarely noticed. 3. The universe is filled with signs. Another profound teaching of the great Sufi master Ibn Arabi is that the universe is not silent or meaningless. According to him, existence itself is filled with signs constantly pointing toward deeper truths. Every moment, every encounter, and every experience carries a layer of meaning that goes far beyond what appears on the surface. However, most people move through life without ever noticing these signs. They see events only as random occurrences, disconnected from any deeper purpose. Ibn Arabi believed that the universe functions almost like a vast book written in a symbolic language. Just as words on a page carry meanings beyond their letters, the events of life contain messages that can only be understood by those who have learned how to read them. The problem is not that the signs are hidden. In many cases, they are everywhere around us. The real difficulty is that people have forgotten how to observe them with attention and awareness. Most individuals pass through their daily routines in a state of distraction. Their thoughts are constantly occupied with worries about the future, regrets about the past, or endless concerns about personal success and failure. In this state of mental noise, even the most obvious signs can remain unnoticed. Life becomes mechanical, and the deeper dimension of existence fades into the background. For Ibn Arabi, however, the awakened heart begins to experience the world very differently. When the heart becomes clear and attentive, it starts to perceive connections that were previously invisible. Ordinary moments suddenly carry significance. A conversation may contain unexpected wisdom. A challenge may reveal an important lesson. Even moments of difficulty can begin to feel like guidance rather than punishment. In this perspective, the universe becomes a living mirror reflecting the inner state of the human being. The more aware a person becomes, the more they begin to notice patterns and meanings unfolding in their experiences. A person might recognize how certain events push them toward patience, humility, or compassion. Situations that once felt random start to appear as opportunities for growth and understanding. Ibn Arabi often emphasized that the natural world itself is one of the greatest sources of signs. The movement of the stars, the rhythm of the seasons, the silence of the night, and the balance found in nature all point toward a deeper order within existence. For someone who has developed inner awareness, these elements of the world are not merely physical phenomena. They are reminders of the harmony and wisdom woven into creation. Yet this understanding requires a shift in the way a person looks at life. Instead of rushing through experiences, the individual must learn to observe carefully. Instead of reacting quickly, they must allow moments to reveal their deeper meaning. This kind of perception does not come from intelligence alone. It comes from presence, patience, and a heart that has become sensitive to the subtle messages within everyday life. According to Ibn Arabi, when a person begins to recognize these signs, their relationship with the world changes completely. Life no longer feels empty or chaotic. Instead, it becomes a meaningful journey in which every experience carries the potential to reveal something important. The universe, in this sense, is constantly speaking. The question is not whether the signs exist. They are present everywhere. The real question is whether a person has developed the awareness to notice them. When the heart becomes attentive and the mind becomes quiet, the world slowly transforms from a place of confusion into a place filled with guidance, meaning, and hidden wisdom. 4. Silence reveals what noise hides. One of the most subtle yet powerful insights in the teachings of Ibn Arabi is the importance of silence. In his view, silence is not merely the absence of sound. It is a state of inner stillness that allows the human being to perceive truths that are normally drowned out by constant mental noise. In the modern world, people are surrounded by an endless stream of information, opinions, and distractions. From the moment they wake up, their minds are pulled in many directions: messages, conversations, responsibilities, worries, and the constant pressure to react to everything happening around them. Over time, this constant stimulation creates a restless mind that rarely experiences genuine stillness. Ibn Arabi believed that this inner noise prevents people from recognizing deeper realities. When the mind is constantly busy, jumping from one thought to another, it becomes difficult to notice the subtle dimensions of existence. Truth does not always appear in loud or dramatic ways. Often it reveals itself quietly, in moments when the mind becomes calm and the heart becomes attentive. Without silence, these moments pass unnoticed. Silence allows a person to observe their inner world more clearly. When the mind slows down, a person begins to notice the patterns of their thoughts and emotions. They may start to recognize how fear shapes certain decisions, or how pride influences their reactions to others. This awareness is the first step toward understanding oneself more deeply. Instead of being controlled by every passing thought, the individual begins to see thoughts as temporary movements of the mind. In the teachings of Ibn Arabi, this type of awareness opens a doorway to deeper perception. When the mind is quiet, the heart begins to speak. Insights that once seemed unreachable begin to appear naturally. A person may suddenly understand a situation that previously felt confusing. They may gain clarity about their purpose, their relationships, or the direction of their life. These realizations do not come from intense effort or constant analysis. They arise gently when the inner noise settles. Silence also changes the way a person experiences the world around them. When the mind is no longer rushing from one distraction to another, even ordinary moments can feel meaningful. A simple walk through nature, the sound of the wind, or the stillness of the night can begin to evoke a sense of reflection and awareness. In these quiet moments, a person becomes more present with reality, instead of being lost in endless mental activity. Ibn Arabi believed that cultivating silence was essential for spiritual growth, because it allows the heart to reconnect with its natural clarity. The human heart, in his view, already possesses the ability to perceive deeper truth. However, this perception becomes buried beneath layers of noise created by constant thinking, worrying, and reacting. Silence gradually removes these layers. This does not mean that a person must completely withdraw from the world or avoid everyday responsibilities. Rather, it means learning to create moments of stillness within the flow of life. Even a few moments of quiet reflection can begin to restore balance to the mind. Over time, these moments of silence allow the individual to develop a deeper awareness that remains present even during activity. When silence becomes part of a person's life, their perception of reality begins to shift. They become less reactive and more thoughtful. They begin to listen more carefully, not only to other people, but also to their own inner voice. Situations that once caused confusion may begin to reveal their deeper meaning. Decisions become clearer because they are no longer driven purely by impulse or fear. According to Ibn Arabi, silence is one of the most powerful tools for uncovering the hidden truths of existence. It is in silence that the heart regains its clarity and begins to recognize the subtle guidance present in every moment of life. The world may appear loud and chaotic on the surface, but beneath that noise lies a deeper stillness where understanding quietly waits to be discovered. 5. Love is the key to the secret. Among the many teachings of the great Sufi master Ibn Arabi, perhaps the most profound and transformative is his understanding of love. For Ibn Arabi, love was not merely an emotion or a passing feeling between people. It was something far greater and far deeper. He believed that love is the very force that connects all existence. It is the hidden energy that binds creation together and reveals the deeper unity behind everything we see. Most people think of love in a limited way. They associate it with personal relationships, family, friendship, or romantic attachment. While these forms of love are real and meaningful, Ibn Arabi believed that they are only reflections of a much greater reality. According to his teachings, love is the foundation of the entire universe. It is the force that moves the human heart toward truth and awakens the soul to its deeper nature. Ibn Arabi often described love as a kind of inner awakening. When a person truly experiences love in its deeper form, something begins to change inside them. The walls built by ego, pride, and fear begin to soften. Instead of seeing the world as a place of separation and competition, the individual begins to sense connection and unity. They begin to realize that every being, every creature, and every part of existence shares a common origin and purpose. This transformation of perception is one of the reasons Ibn Arabi placed such importance on love in the spiritual journey. Without love, the path toward truth becomes dry and mechanical. A person may study knowledge, follow rules, and perform outward actions, yet still feel distant from deeper understanding. Love brings life to the heart. It allows spiritual knowledge to move beyond theory and become a living experience. According to Ibn Arabi, love opens the heart in a way that nothing else can. When the heart opens through love, it becomes more capable of compassion, patience, and understanding. A person begins to see others not as obstacles or rivals, but as fellow travelers on the same journey of existence. Even difficulties and hardships begin to take on a different meaning. Instead of seeing challenges only as suffering, the individual may begin to recognize them as opportunities for growth and transformation. Love also has the power to dissolve the illusions created by the ego. Earlier we explored how the ego acts as a veil that hides deeper truth. The ego thrives on separation and self-importance. It constantly tries to elevate the individual above others and protect its own identity. Love, however, moves in the opposite direction. It softens the boundaries that the ego creates. It reminds the heart that life is not about dominance or control, but about connection and understanding. For Ibn Arabi, love was also the key to perceiving the deeper unity within creation. When the heart is filled with love, a person begins to notice beauty and meaning in places they once ignored. The world itself begins to feel different. Nature, human relationships, and even simple moments of daily life start to reveal a sense of harmony and purpose. The person begins to feel that they are part of a larger reality rather than isolated from it. This perspective leads to a profound shift in how life is experienced. Instead of constantly searching for fulfillment outside themselves, the individual begins to discover a quiet contentment within. Love becomes a guiding force that shapes their actions and intentions. It encourages kindness, humility, and generosity. It transforms the way they interact with others and how they understand their own place in the world. Ibn Arabi believed that this transformation is essential for uncovering the deeper secret of existence. Knowledge alone cannot reveal the full truth. The mind can analyze ideas and concepts, but the heart must feel the reality behind them. Love allows the heart to move beyond intellectual understanding and experience truth directly. In this sense, love becomes both the path and the destination. It guides the human being toward deeper awareness, while also revealing the unity that lies at the center of existence. Through love, the heart becomes capable of perceiving the sacred dimension of life that is usually hidden beneath ordinary appearances. According to Ibn Arabi, the secret hidden from almost everyone is not something distant or unreachable. It is revealed through the awakening of the heart, and love is the key that unlocks that awakening. When the heart learns to love deeply and sincerely, the veils begin to fall away. The human being begins to see the world not as a place of confusion and separation, but as a reflection of a deeper and more meaningful reality that has always been present. As the great mystic Ibn Arabi reminded us, the deepest truths of life are rarely hidden far away. They are hidden behind the noise of our thoughts, the illusions of the ego, and the distractions of the world. The secret we explore today is not something reserved for a few extraordinary people. It exists quietly within every human heart, waiting for the moment when a person becomes still enough, sincere enough, and open enough to recognize it. When the heart becomes clear, when the ego begins to loosen its grip, when silence replaces noise and love replaces fear, something remarkable begins to happen. The world itself starts to look different. What once felt confusing begins to reveal meaning. What once felt empty begins to feel alive with purpose. Perhaps the greatest wisdom of Ibn Arabi is this: the journey toward truth is not about traveling somewhere else. It is about awakening to what has always been present, and maybe the real question is not whether this secret exists. The real question is whether we are ready to see it.